So, uh, back to again lecture, pathology of typhoid ulcers. Okay. Okay. So up till now we discussed about the pathogenesis of typhoid fever. That is how this particular pathogen enters in your system and causes the pathology, different pathologies. Now, this pathology of typhoid fever, there are four classic pathological stages occurs in the course of infection. Okay, there are four changes that occurs associated with this particular or while causing the ulcer formation in the small intestine. Okay. Okay. So, hyperplastic changes, then necrosis of intestinal mucosa, sloughing of mucosa, the development of ulcers, that is, the ulcers may perforate into the peritoneal cavity. So, these are the four stages here we are going to discuss. It is associated with liver, the changes associated with liver, then skin, gallbladder, spleen, then mesenteric glands, kidney, lungs, heart, and veins. So all these organs, they are associated with this pathology. So it is first there is hyperplasia, then there is necrosis, ulceration, and perforation. So these are the four stages of this typhoid ulcers. Hyperplasia, that is more proliferation of this cells in that particular region where this particular mucosa get degenerated, because this Peyer's patches, this inflammation starts below outward. Okay, so first this infection to the Peyer's patches, which are in the submucosa of intestinal wall. Okay, all of you know the structure, histopathology, this anatomy or physiology of this intestinal mucosa. So in the villi, below this villi, this particular Peyer's patches, they are present. So inflammation occurs over there first, and this proceeds this inflammation up to the mucosa of intestinal wall. So there is hyperplasia, then there is necrosis, there is ulceration. Here this ulceration get develops, that is crater like lesions, and perforation. The base of ulcers, it get detached, and there will be perforation. Okay, so these four stages we are now going to study, and these all things here below are the organs which causes this particular shows the changes in case of typhoid fever. So there is hepatomegaly, skin rashes, then there is cholecystitis, then enlarged spleen, enlarged mesenteric glands. This mesentery, see, you can see the mesentery here. Then there is cloudy swelling of kidneys, then bronchitis, it may be associated with bronchitis, then larger fatty degeneration of the heart, and it may be associated with thrombosis. So all these changes, they are associated with the pathology of this typhoid ulcer. So pathology of typhoid ulcer, there are four stages: hyperemia, cellular hyperplasia, necrosis, sloughing and ulceration, and later on there is healing. Okay, the four stages healing. Now about the first stage, that is hyperemia. What is hyperemia? Yes, what is the meaning of hyperemia? Yes, Anjali. What is meaning of hyperemia?
Excess of blood in the vessels.
Excess of blood in the vessels. Okay, anyone else want to add with this hyperemia? I think this topic is done, no? Hyperemia in general pathology, taught by Shinde madam. I think hyperemia, hemorrhage.
No, ma'am.
Yes or no? I think it is done. Hyperemia. So please read about hyperemia, active hyperemia, what is passive hyperemia, what is CPC lung, CPC liver. I think it is done, taught by Shinde madam.
No,
No?
I think no.
I think you think no.
Not remembering.
Not remembering. Okay, so please read about this. Okay.
Ma'am.
Okay, so hyperemia. So here you can take the meaning of that word like increased blood supply. Okay, hyperemia and
Yes.
congestion. But what are the details of hyperemia? Please read about this. Okay, in what are the conditions of whether it is active or passive hyperemia, that you can get from your notes. Okay. Now,
Okay, ma'am.
this occurs in the first week. That is, there is infection of Peyer's patches. They become swollen, edematous, hyperemic. That is, increased blood supply in that particular region towards Peyer's patches. Then they project above the mucosa due to proliferation of mononuclear cell. So these Peyer's patches, they project above the mucosa from below upward. Okay, from below upward this infection proceeds, and these Peyer's patches, they get project on the mucosa of intestine in the lumen. Okay, so this happens in the first week. Whenever there is this particular organism, it infects that particular Peyer's patches in the at the second time. Okay, so not at this stage of transient bacteremia. It happens in the secondary bacteremia. Okay, so they become swollen, edematous, hyperemic, and project above the mucosa due to proliferation of mononuclear cells. It happens in the first week. Then second stage is necrosis. Latter part of the second week, characterized by prominences of lymphoid follicle which become necrosed by a process of coagulation necrosis. So here this the stage of necrosis, it is characteristically seen in the latter part of the second week. Okay, there is this lymphoid follicles, they become prominent, and the necrosis starts by the process of degeneration, coagulative necrosis. Now microscopically, what are the things and what are the changes that occurs in that particular region? There is cellular infiltration. Then second, the mucous membrane get necrosed due to toxins, due to ischemia, as vessels they get blocked by the proliferation of endothelial cells. So here the mucous membrane, then the necrosis of mucous membrane starts, associated with the toxic discharges by the leukocytes. We call them as, yes, yes, the inflammatory enzymes released by the leukocytes. What is the name of that? Yes, I want the name from you. Okay. Uh, I taught you, I think, pneumonia, no? 4 stages of pneumonia. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So, in 4 stages of pneumonia, the first stage is of congestion. The second is red hepatization. The third stage is gray hepatization, and then resolution. So, uh, try to find out what are the enzymes they get secreted by the leukocytes. Okay, in the stage that is gray hepatization or red hepatization also. So here this mucous membrane get necrosed due to toxins, and due to ischemia, as vessels they get blocked by the proliferation of endothelial cells, due to proliferation of mononuclear cells. Okay, so this stage is necrosis. Now next stage is sloughing and ulceration. This occurs in the early part of the third week. Here, this necrosed mucous membrane slough out, forming an ulcer. So here, in this diagram, we have seen that this particular region, it get detached. So it is nothing but the slough. It is nothing but the slough which get detached from this particular cup of this ulcers, and this area they get sloughed. This particular inflammatory discharges or toxic discharges or toxins or the cellular debris, they get uh, thrown out of the body. Okay, so there is slough formation. Why the slough get formed? It is the slough is nothing but the pus. We call it as the pus, which is nothing but which is formed due to the inflammatory discharges, the debris, okay, enzymes. So this slough and sloughing, and what is the meaning of sloughing? That is flowing out this particular things, all debris out of this ulcers, okay, out of this necrosed area, necrosed particular region. So this get thrown out and there is formation of ulcer. Okay, so necrosed tissues, they get thrown by sloughing, by detaching in that particular area, and there is ulcer formation. So it happens in the early part of third week. Here the necrosed mucous membrane slough out, forming ulcers. These ulcers seen either over solitary lymphoid follicle or on the Peyer's patches. Okay. Now later on, these ulcers, they become oval, shallow, and displaced in long axis of the gut in direction of Peyer's patches with raised margins and causes hemorrhage. So in latter part, these ulcers, which are oval, which are shallow, they are not deep and displaced along the long axis of the gut and in direction of the Peyer's patches, which are with raised margins, and sometimes they causes hemorrhages. Sometimes these ulcers reach up to the peritoneum, causing perforation, and later on, then lastly, peritonitis. Okay. So this is the fate of this particular ulcers, typhoid ulcers. Microscopically, in this third stage, the mucous membrane is absent because of sloughing. This particular area gets sloughed out, and the margins of ulcers is infiltrated with mononuclear cells. Okay, so edema at the margins of ulcers, it became congested, edematous, indurated, and this because of infiltration of mononuclear cells. Now, fourth stage of pathology is healing stage, fourth week. This ulcers began to heal up with formation of granulation tissue and finally covered with the normal epithelium. Okay, so here you can see this histopathology of ulcers, typhoid ulcers. Here uh, you can see the granulation tissue zone here beneath this ulcer. This is granulation tissue zone. Then this is necrotic zone. This reddish pinkish area associated with environment of mononuclear cell. This is necrotic zone. This part is necrotic zone. Then this is ulcerated mucosa. See, this is congested. The side of these ulcers, they get congested, indurated. Okay, and the superficial exudative zone is there. Here it is superficial exudative zone and zone of cicatrization. So this is the histopathology of typhoid ulcers. This similar changes you can see in the gastric ulcers also. Okay, typhoid ulcers and gastric ulcers. There are zones: necrotic zone, then exudative zone, zone of cicatrization, and granulation tissue zone. These four zones, we discussed it already about the stomach ulcers or gastric peptic ulcers. Similar lesions happens in the typhoid ulcers. Okay. Now effect on other organs. What are the effects on other organs? Very, very important part. That is mesenteric lymph nodes. They become enlarged, soft in consistency, cut surface, they are moist, pinkish appearance. Okay, mesenteric lymph nodes. Then the second effect is on heart. The heart become flabby, the muscles become soft, then it becomes swollen due to toxic myocarditis. It is called as toxic myocarditis. So this myocarditis is again two type, anoxic and toxic type. So anoxic associated with anemia and toxic associated with either this typhoid fever or maybe after diphtheria. Okay, so this toxic myocarditis, it is very much very commonly seen in after the typhoid fever. Then spleen is enlarged, soft in consistency, it become pulpy. Kidney shows cloudy swelling. Now all of you know this meaning, cloudy swelling. What is cloudy swelling? Anyone would explain what is cloudy swelling? Yes, Pranjali. What is cloudy swelling?
Early stage of toxic degeneration.
Early stage of
Generation toxic degeneration.
degeneration. Yes, it is a part of degeneration. That is albuminous degeneration. We call it as
Uh,
albuminous
Al-
degeneration.
degeneration.
So it shows
Yes.
kidney shows cloudy swelling. Then nervous system, there is typhoid. After in this typhoid fever, there is tuberous condition due to encephalitis in some cases. So nervous system is also get affected. Then the respiratory system, there is initial bronchitis, then bronchopneumonia, lobar pneumonia. It may be due to secondary infection by streptococci pneumonia. Okay, so first of all, there is initial bronchitis, and then it will get transferred up to the pneumonia, lobar pneumonia or bronchopneumonia. Again, this particular things, whether it get transferred into lobar or whether it get transferred into bronchopneumonia, again depending upon the age. If there is extremes of age, the immunity is very much low, then there is bronchopneumonia. But in case of middle persons, middle young age, there is lobar pneumonia. Okay, then voluntary muscles get affected, that is rectus abdominis. Then diaphragm, it shows Senker's degeneration, that is necrotic changes. Then muscle fiber, there is loss of striations in the muscle fiber, lose their nuclei and take homogeneous pink stain. Okay, they loses their striations and they lose their nuclei. Okay, so again the muscle fiber also become flabby, loss of striations, with loss of striations. So this is the effect of typhoid fever on voluntary muscles and the muscle fibers. Then bone and joints also get affected in this typhoid fever, typhoid infections. That is, they involved very late, causing osteitis. Then there is osteoporosis, necrosis, suppuration. In that case, whenever we examine the pus of this particular discharges in that organ, when we observed in under microscope, sorry, we can see the Salmonella typhosa. Okay, this bacteria we can get from this pus. So I think this is all about of this typhoid fever. Okay, so if there is any query, you can ask.
Ma'am, what is different between typhoid fever and paratyphoid fever?
Yes, typhoid fever and paratyphoid fever. That part I am going to discuss in next lecture. Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
so you please read it from your books. No, not paratyphoid fever, but you read this about Salmonella typhus if the books are there with you. So
Okay, ma'am.
before this explaining this particular things, you get this idea of the difference of paratyphosa A, paratyphosa B, and paratyphoid infections. Okay, you can get this idea, you can clearly get this particular things from your bacteriology book. If it is there with you, please read about this particular things. About Salmonella typhi, what is the structure, what are the cultural characteristic of the Salmonella typhi, whether it is gram positive or gram negative bacteria. Yes, any one of you? Whether it is positive or negative, gram positive or gram negative bacteria. Yes, Salmonella typhi.
Gram negative bacteria.
It is gram negative
Negative.
bacteria. Okay. So please read about this bacteria, structures, cultural characteristic, okay, morphology of this particular bacteria. Then we will discuss about the difference between typhoid and paratyphoid fever in next lecture. Okay. And again, there is one homework for you, that is, you please read about hyperemia. What is hyperemia? Very, very important topic from your general pathology. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
So you will get this idea what while discussing the histopathology. Every time this word hyperemia comes again and again. So to clear the queries about hyperemia, please read about this topic. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Very basic pathology topic of pathology, hyperemia and hemorrhage. Okay. Then we will discuss about next time about what is the paratyphoid fever. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other queries related to this topic? Today's
No, ma'am.
okay. So next time I'm going to ask you about the hyperemia. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So we will meet now on Friday or Saturday. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So next topic of GI system that we are going to discuss is about diseases of large intestine. No, before, yes, diseases of large intestine. That is, we are going to discuss about dysentery. Okay.
Okay.
The dysentery. In dysentery, we are going to discuss about the amoebic dysentery and bacillary dysentery. What is difference between amoebic and bacillary dysentery? Now, please tell me how many of parasites we till now it is taught for your batch. Any parasites?
No, ma'am.
Parasitology not taught, no?
No,
No,
ma'am.
No,
ma'am.
ma'am. No
Parasitology
in
is
picture.
remaining, no? Parasitology and
No.
Yes,
bacteriology.
ma'am.
So I
Yes.
think before going towards this dysentery topic, side by side we will start with parasitology, at least Entamoeba histolytica. Okay, to get
Okay.
clear the idea of this particular pathogens of dysentery. Okay,
Hmm.
so if there are books with you, parasitology book is there with you.
Yes,
No.
ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No,
If
ma'am.
anyone is having this book, please send the pictures of this particular uh, topic, that is Entamoeba histolytica, to your friends. Circulate in your friends. Okay, you can share now. So you can study this particular things before this lecture. Okay.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
why I'm telling you the topics priorly? If the first reading is done, then the second, while doing the second reading or while explaining this topic, you can easily absorb. Okay. So that is very
Hmm.
important. That's why I'm telling you to read this topic first before my explanation. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So next I think we will take the topic from your parasitology, okay? Entamoeba astrolatica. Then we will go towards dysentery,
Hmm.
okay?
Okay, ma'am.
So I'm going to stop this today's lecture. Okay. Give me your attendance, serially attendance. Any one of you can post attendance, today's attendance, okay? There are 23 participants today.
Yes.
Where are other students? Yes, why less? Out of 40, there are only 23.
Don't know, ma'am.
Ma'am, Nusrat is having network issues.
Network issue, okay. Okay, so I will post these lectures on YouTube, okay?
Hmm.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, bye.
Bye.